So, hey, this is Brent Leary, and I am back in Pleasanton, California. And you know, when I'm in Pleasanton, California, there's only really one place I'm coming for that. It's to visit Zoho, right?
Yeah.
So I'm here. Is this the first or second developer conference that Zoho has put on?
Actually, this is probably the fourth or
Fourth.
fifth. We have added, these were smaller events. Of course, they've grown and grown and grown.
Right.
Now, this year's developer event has filled this office now. So
That's
next
right.
year, I guess, we may have to. And this is the developer event, you know.
That's right.
Our main event is in Austin now because we moved there because it got too big for us here.
Absolutely. Well, before we get too further on here, I'm actually sitting here with Sridhar Vembu, who is the co-founder and CEO of Zoho. So thanks for making some time.
Thank you. Thank you, Brent.
Okay, so I told you that I had to ask you about this saying that you came up with while we were in a little meeting earlier today. And you said that the only durable capital we have is our culture. And it just caught my attention. I tweeted it out, people started liking it. But talk about what exactly does that mean? And why is that so important?
I mentioned it in the context of how so much of what we think of as capital has now come to mean financial capital. Like the value you place on real capital. Meaning it's in a way that we are confusing two things here. The value we place on capital with the capital itself. and in fact, as a software engineer, this confusion is very real for me because you know in C language, for example, you have a pointer to an object versus the object itself.
Right.
And you don't want to confuse the two because you're going to crash the program if you confuse the two. So the pointer to a thing is not the thing itself. But though sometimes you can speak as though they were interchangeable, but it's not. That's a linguistic sleight of hand. It's not really true.
Right.
But in our domain now, the financial valuation we place on a capital as substitute for the capital. But you have to have a real sense of what is the capital. Underneath, what is the capital? Where does it come from?
Right.
And I have found, this is, having built this company from zero to now 8,000, almost 8,000 employees, I can say that there is only one gift that keeps on giving, the most durable capital. That's the whole culture that builds these things. And the culture of, wanting to excel, wanting to build new stuff, and wanting to, the know-how. How do we acquire the knowledge? Because before we acquire the knowledge, there has to be wanting to acquire the knowledge.
Right.
Why does somebody want to do this? And those are forms of capital we cannot really place a value on it, but all value, financial value comes from it. And yet, most of the time now we have kind of missed that whole thing, that how this process starts up, how does it arise? And instead we are focused on the valuation, the financial valuation.
So you're not on the durable value, it's
Exactly.
the valuation.
Yeah, so in that sense I call myself a real capitalist.
Wow.
I focus on the real capital and I ignore the questions of valuation, financial valuation, because that's not interesting to me.
Well, you also mentioned that Zoho is a fast-growing company.
Yes.
But you are very mindful of making sure it's not growing too fast.
Yeah.
Is that because you don't want it to impact that durable?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
In other words, this is a case, this is again, if you understood that real capital, then you know that you can degrade that real capital with too fast growth, which is exactly like in a body. There is some forms of very rapid growth, you know what that is, it's cancer.
Right.
So we don't want that, right? So it means that growth by itself is not some kind of an unlimited good. That is, growth in every form always is good. It's not true. There is such a thing as growing too fast.
Right.
So I am actually always mindful of that. I try to keep a lid on our growth so that we grow at a comfortable pace, that we can maintain what makes us good in the first place, what makes us good to our customers and our employees. And I also believe that if we keep our employees happy, can we keep our customers happy together.
Right.
So that's the whole cycle there. And all that can happen only if you are going at a pace that is manageable. A lot of times we chase growth for its own sake, all forms of anything, just growth is good. And that leads to, again, that's an obsessive focus on the financial valuation, not on the real capital. And a lot of the problems in the economy is we have degraded real capital in chasing the financial capital.
Wow.
That's how I see it.
Interesting. So let me ask you, what do you think is the most misunderstood thing about Zoho from the outside
Yeah.
world?
No, for a while people thought we were only a CRM player. That is like one of the easier businesses. And then many people thought we were mainly primarily a small business software company. We serve small business very well, but our software suite is very powerful. In fact, we run entirely on Zoho, which is 8,000 employees with about 20 plus locations around the world. And we are really a multinational, but we don't think that way. I don't like to think that way, but we are.
Right.
We have around the world now, operations everywhere, and yet we all run everything on Zoho, including this very event. Everything is run on Zoho, and so it scales up. It actually, there is a customer I met who has 350 million records on CRM.
Wow.
That's not a small business.
Not at all.
So that's an example. So that's one of the things that is not widely understood. Partly because we are not big on marketing. I mean, we actually focus on real capital, building up that durable capital, durable culture, and satisfied customers, word of mouth. Those are all a lot of what we do. We do marketing, but not as much as what is commonly practiced in the industry today. And that has still allowed us to grow at a very steady, very fast clip for a long period now.
So you said to me a couple of years ago, a couple of companies that you really looked at and kind of modeled Zoho after. There was two that we mentioned. One was Facebook, one was Amazon. Are they still kind of models? Do you still look at them?
Yeah, I look at them in this way. I said Facebook is able to handle 1 billion plus, 2 billion users.
Right.
And if you look at the amount of money they spend on their what we would call IT operations, meaning the data centers, all of that, it's got to be a very small number. It's approximately maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 cents somewhere per daily active user per month, which is a really good metric to focus on because they're able to do this at that scale because they make maybe $10 per daily active user in terms of their ad revenue. This is not about their business model, this is about their operational efficiency in terms of their data centers and the whole infrastructure, how they are able to serve all this traffic, this huge load on under maybe $1 per month per active user, right? That's something definitely worth learning from.
Okay.
And I mentioned it also as how this has significant implications for cloud economics. So that's one example.
Okay.
And Amazon, in a similar way, I've said that again, the AWS shows you how they've scaled this business to $40 billion from zero base, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's basically all of this is done. They start with customers who pay them maybe from zero, $10, $20, and that some of those customers started there and were paying them $1 million a month now or more. And that the fact that they could start there was not an enterprise sales contract in the beginning, all of that, and they smoothly scale. That's a testimony to their business acumen here.
Right.
Thomas. That's worth learning from.
Right.
And we've modeled a lot of our own, for example, Zoho One. There's influence of Amazon Prime there. A lot of people have compared that.
Right.
And we definitely see, there is a similarity here. We want a predictable price. We want to provide you extreme value for the customer so that Zoho One comes, there's inspiration from them, I would say. So
Talk about Zoho One a little bit because it's only been around a little over 2 years, but you have over 29,000 companies actually using it.
Already.
Yeah. So
It's fastest growing part of the business now.
what are companies coming to you for Zoho One? What are they coming to you looking for? Is it just the sheer number of apps? Is it the inexpensive nature of it? Is it something else in between?
It's all of it. 2019, the cloud is more and more mature. Most businesses know what the cloud is, what cloud apps can do for them. In fact, they are using many of the cloud apps. Increasingly, the problem, which even the a lot of even single product companies now acknowledge the problem. The problem is that there's too many apps. How do we put together? How do we make all this work together? And in fact, some cloud software CEOs themselves admit, my company is using all these apps and I don't know what to do, how to solve this problem. And they are trying to, patch it together. So this problem is real. We anticipated this. For 15 years, we've been working on this vision that we have to bring all this together. But it does, of course, take a lot of R&D investment to do this. So now we finally got to it. 2 years ago, we launched. It's now just going up like a rocket. I mean, it's fastest growing. It's all of these. It's of course the access to all of the applications. It's the predictability of the pricing and the business model, and the affordability, and the fact that all these apps are built on a common platform, and the integrations are more and more getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And if some integration is not there, you ask us and we will do it. We'll turn it on for you. That's how we are doing it. And that is really, and the fact that, see, in 2 years we have added 5 new apps to this, all the customers automatically got them. They don't have to do anything. It's that level of, so you're deepening the value of the thing that they already are on, which is unheard of in the software industry.
Right.
Because you'll typically get a call from a sales guy trying to upsell you something. Here we just tell them, hey, here's a new product, you already have it. It's there in your account. That's something that customers love. So.
Yeah. About the same time that Zoho One was coming out, Zia, we're starting to roll Zia. What role has Zia played in the success of Zoho One?
Zia is now the layer that is looking at the overall cross-product, cross-database, all of the perspective, and extracting the intelligence out of it. So, and we are deepening this further and further. It started out with the whole first indexing all of that information, building the kind of a graph, connected graph of that information, and now of course running the neural network type of algorithms on it from whether CRM or desk, and all of this sentiment analysis, scoring, a lot of this, all these are coming together more and more. Everything from our grammar checking in writer to email, spam classification, fraud detection, all this is now powered by the whole Zia foundation now, and we are also exposing all that to the developers. Part of it is now the Zia framework is now built into Creator and Deluge or frameworks, so we are exposing this functionality to the developers.
Speaking of developers, one of the things that we're here today learning more about is Creator One. Maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So Creator One is our overarching strategy for all of the development tools. The Zoho Creator product itself, but there's more. The Orchestly, Zoho Flow. Orchestly is our business process orchestration engine. Flow is our integration platform for integrating both Zoho apps and third-party apps. And then we have the Sigma that we launched today for building the extensions on the Zoho platform. Catalyst, which is basically if you want all of these tools, plus you want your custom code you want to bring and you want to host alongside your apps, we offer you that. That is our full-fledged services, microservices, containerized platform there. All these together that we are calling it as an umbrella brand, Zoho, or Creator One. And so it complements Zoho One. So Zoho One and Creator One. Creator One is the shape-shifting foundation of Zoho One. It allows you to shape-shift Zoho One to fit your business.
And you talk about shape-shifting also from a cultural standpoint too. Maybe you can talk about that.
Yeah. So this is, this is how I put it. The technologies have to keep evolving. Things are changing. But even as we evolve, we are evolving against something that has to remain constant. If we are not rooted in something, there's no concept of evolving into something. You've got to be rooted in something. So I say there are certain values are timeless. Like I mentioned, the most durable capital is culture, and that is durable and that's timeless. It's because it's the human layer of things. That is how we relate as human beings. That's not changing because of technology. I may call you on WhatsApp or whatever, but still, our relationship as human beings should not be dependent on what technology we use.
Right.
Right. The nature of friendship or all of that cannot be dependent on just the technology.
Right.
That's a medium, right? It's a tool for us. And then the technologies and the way you use them, that is where the shape shifting comes in, and how it adapts to our particular needs and how it adapts to a business, and the very how it allows a business to differentiate itself in the marketplace, what's unique about the business. That's where a lot of the shape shifting comes in. Every platform, software platform, unless it has that layer, we call it developer, but I like to call it shape shifting layer. That's our creator one. Then it cannot really flex your need. It becomes brittle. And we are providing that flexibility for Zoho One. So as much as we provide all these apps, they can also shape shift it to fit their particular unique needs, and then differentiate themselves and differentiate the software to the way they work. So,
One last thing. You told a story about a farmer
yes.
who is a farmer,
Yeah.
but now is a developer.
Developer,
Talk
yeah.
about that.
Actually, there was a case study today. He presented today.
I missed it, yeah.
in the event, and he's a farmer. He discovered Zoho Creator maybe about a year and a half ago, and he has no knowledge of anything Zoho before, and he had very little knowledge of anything at all IT related. He was managing in spreadsheets before,
Wow.
and once he discovered Zoho Creator, he called our support to get started, and we supported him through his journey. And now he has built his farm management. He's not a large farmer. He has about 50 acres in Texas. They generally measure farms in hundreds or thousands of acres. So 50
It's
acres.
Texas, right?
It's Texas, right? And he has built a really complete management software. And the reason they need management is all of the regulations. So you have the food safety handling to prevent like salmonella poisoning, and I didn't know this. There's a whole compliance layer on farmers. For example, there's a law called FSMA, Federal Safety or Food Safety Management Act or something. FSMA, he called it, and complying with those requires huge amounts of data. For example, I only learned it today that when they do a recall on some, for example, spinach because of some contamination, whatever, the law now requires it to be traced to a particular farm, a particular harvest date, a particular who handled it. All of those data have to be in the farmer's database. The federal law requires it now. So that, to ensure food safety, right? And he's doing all of this on Zoho Creator now on the platform. It's amazing. And he said other farmers now are starting to adopt it. He's actually becoming a kind of an IT expert to advise them on how to manage all this.
The new vertical.
Yeah, new vertical. Yeah. I never thought of that actually.
But I guess that's the thing.
Yeah.
Your customers may come to you for one thing,
Yeah.
and then
Now he's an all Zoho user now. From
Interesting.
everything from Zoho Meeting to CRM, everything he's using now. But he started out with Creator to build this whole entire farm administration
He
system.
started out as a farmer,
Yeah.
and ended up an actually developer.
That's what he says. I've become a software developer now.
That is amazing. Now, one last thing too is everything that we just talked about. It's all Zoho technology. You don't run on anything else other than Zoho.
We are almost entirely Zoho. We may have there are pieces that we haven't had. For example, we didn't have payroll until recently. Now we've just launched it.
Right.
So we may have it tactically, but usually we have developed in-house and then we use it. And then there's Creator for any other custom needs. There's stuff that we have that are not useful for anybody else. It's particular to our context, the way the business runs. Those things tend to run on Creator.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of, to the extent that's, I would not have imagined it 10 years ago. This company runs on Zoho entirely.
Data
And
servers.
that's also an assurance to our customers, because if there is any problem, we know it first.
Wow.
We have 8,000 people doing QA on this every single day in live production. And knowing what the problem is. Yeah. So
And it's you got data servers. You're using
exactly.
everything.
And now we have data centers all over the world. Now 10 data centers now up to, and points of presence. So it's exploding.
Yeah.
Just had a Nigerian customer I met is saying, hey, and actually we are seeing extremely rapidly rising traffic from Nigeria.
Really?
So we're planning to put a data center there now.
That's amazing. So, what are you going to be talking about or looking towards the future? Let's say the next year. What do you want to see happen here at Zoho? I know a year is like a short-term thing, but sometimes it's easier for folks to kind of see what happens year by year. I know you don't think like that, but what are some of the things that you see are going to be important, maybe not as important now, but a year from now are going to be something that people really need to be paying attention to?
Yeah, well, I spend a lot of time on software security as the cloud becomes more and more critical to our way of life now. We live in the cloud more and more,
Right.
Our communications, all of this, the work, the way we do work, on all of the digital assets, all these now. So I think a lot about security, how to strengthen the security foundations of the way we build software, and data layer. So how the common data models that we have built, that how do we, for example, ingest data faster from a variety of sources and automatically learn from the data what it wants to be. I mean, the way I see it is, the data by its very internal structure is giving you clues on what it wants to be. For example, I want to be in CRM, or I want to be in accounting, I want to be in campaigns or on things like that, and that actually we can detect those things. Then the whole app layer becomes even more fluid. These are some of the things that we are working on. How to do data better and security. These are some of the big things that I'm focused on personally.
Amongst other things, because I mentioned farming, but you're actually not just a farmer as a customer. You're actually farming
we have
yourself,
farms. I mean, our customer. I definitely have to be humbled by the amount of the farm administration system they have. Actually, I thought that our own farms could adopt it, because we actually need better systems than what we have. It's funny because it's how it is. Like a teacher won't teach their own kid a lot. In a similar way, actually, internal IT problems don't get a lot of attention because we serve the customers, right? So we actually can learn from our customers on all of these things. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking some time out. I know that there's a conference still going on.
Yeah.
But this has been great. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Absolutely.